Well, it is another Monday, and that means it is another edition of The Voice of Reason in a world that is beyond reason. Thank you all for joining me. You are listening to Beyond Reason Radio. You can get the show live Monday and Fridays at 8 p.m. on BeyondReasonRadio.com or download the Beyond Reason Radio app and stream the show on there live as well, Monday through Friday. And Facebook World, hi Facebook World out there. We're also streaming the show live on Facebook. If you go to the Facebook.com/Beyond Reason Radio, you can find the video live stream as well, but you also want to get the audio as well. And we are joined, walking in the door, we also joined by executive producer, Mr. Michael Formisano. We have a lot of stuff we're going to talk about today. And, you know, I did a lot of soul searching this week. A lot of soul searching, well, not over the weekend. Because there was something that I've been thinking about. And as a Christian, I'm not 100% sure. Well, I think I'm 100%. I think I'm sure where I stand on this, but I want to get your take on this. So if you're on the app, you're listening to the live stream, you can also chat with the show live as well, or you can chat with Facebook as live as well. But I want to talk to you. Well, let me start with what got this started in my mind. Over the weekend, I saw a video that was going around Facebook. And it was talking about, I guess a guy went to a Bernie Sanders rally, and he went to a Trump rally, and he was holding a sign that said, "Free hugs." And now, I'm sure the video was edited, whatever, probably really biased, that's fine. But he went to a Trump rally, and he faced a lot of anger for being there. And he went to a Bernie Sanders rally with the same sign. All he did was stand there and hold free hugs. And the Sanders rally, he had a bunch of people hugging him. Now, I'm totally sure it's biased. It's fine. But I think there is some truth to the fact that one of the big reasons why people support Donald Trump is out of anger. And a lot of Christians support Donald Trump because they're angry. They're angry at how they're being treated by their government, by their own party, by people who are against Christianity or trying to get Christianity out of the public square, all that stuff. In fact, I have an audio cut here that I played, I think it was a few weeks ago, from Todd Starnes. Now, Todd Starnes makes a living off exposing where Christianity is under attack in the country. He almost comes out with a new story every day on this stuff. And it shows that it's a real problem. And he says, remember at the end of this, he says, you know, we're mad. The reason why Trump supporters like him so much is we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore, he says. This is, here's the audio.
Hello, I'm Todd Starnes. Violence broke out over the weekend at several Donald Trump campaign rallies. Left-wing thugs battled with police in Chicago and St. Louis. One even tried to storm the stage at a rally in Dayton, Ohio. But instead of blaming the professional hooligans, the political chattering class blamed Mr. Trump. Senator Marco Rubio went so far as to liken Mr. Trump to a third world strongman. But the person responsible for fomenting political unrest is not Donald Trump. It's President Obama. For the past 7.5 years, this man has been stoking division and discord. You want to talk about creating controversy? Fine, let's talk about Baltimore and Ferguson, Missouri, and Trayvon Martin. President Obama is the one who told his followers, if they bring a knife to the fight, we bring a gun. That's what he said. I don't recall too many Republicans getting upset over that remark. Many conservative pundits still do not understand why Americans are flocking to Donald Trump. They seem bewildered that we've ignored establishment overlords like Mitt Romney and the uppity-ups at the National Review. So, for the sake of all you Republicans in name only, let me explain what's going on here. The folks who pay the bills in this country are fed up. We're tired of being called racist and homophobic and xenophobic. The silent majority is mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore.
I think Todd Starnes is right in pretty much why a lot of people support Trump. And I think people have a right to be angry in a lot of different cases. By the way, if you're on Facebook, hi Facebook World, some followers out there, just make sure to go to beyondreasonradio.com and listen to the show live there as well. I think he's right that the whole Trump campaign is about anger. We're angry. We're mad at the country. But I think Trump takes it an extra step. And this isn't even really about Trump. Trump's just a personification of a lot of people in this country and a lot of Christians in this country. And they're mad and they show it. And Trump rallies get angry and Trump curses and he says he's going to win. And it's just a lot of anger. And I thought about this and I'm thinking, how should Christians react to this? I understand the anger, but as a Christian, how should we react to the anger? Should we react in kind? Should we react because we're mad? Should we react in anger to people that disagree with us? Honestly, this is one of the things that really bothers me about the whole Trump campaign, because you have a lot of Christians out there who seem to be ignoring that part of themselves because they're so angry at Republicans and the country and the left and big government and Obama. And I'm just doing some soul searching. I'm like, how should we react? And of course, I went to the Bible. This is a deep show today, at least this segment. We have plenty of other stuff we're going to get to. We have Beyond Reason politics coming up. We got stories that are so beyond reason they left me flabbergasted, which a lot of people like that segment. But I decided to go to the Bible. And I thought a lot about this because Todd Starnes right. Christians feel persecuted a lot in this country. But in the big scheme of things, are we really that persecuted? If we react in anger now to the persecutions that we get now, how are we going to react when real persecution comes? Real persecution that we see in other countries. Real persecution that the earliest Christians faced. If we react in anger like now, just over these little persecutions, how are we going to react when those persecutions come? So I went to the Bible. And Paul in Ephesians, here's one verse, talks about anger. This is what he said. Therefore, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we are all members of one body. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. Anyone who has been stealing must steal no longer, but must work, doing something useful with their own hands. And he goes on and on. But he said something to me that's very interesting. In your anger, do not sin. Trump is often profane. His campaign is often profane, yelling at other people. And we excuse it. He also lies. But we excuse it all because of the anger. And I'm thinking, is that the right way to go? Is that how we face persecution? Is that how the right way to face trials? As a Christian, I have to say no. And in this show, Beyond Reason Radio, we go over a lot of things that are beyond reason. But I try very hard to go through it without just total anger, without total vitriol, without sinning, without profanity, all that stuff. We go through it because it's important. But that doesn't mean we repay evil with evil. We hear this a lot, fight fire with fire. Well, as Christians, we're taught to fight evil with good. And yet I don't see that in the political world anymore. I don't see that in our campaign season anymore. I don't see that. I see fight anger with anger. Fight fire with fire. No. The Bible says fight fire with good. And you want to talk more about anger? Well, Jesus himself talked about anger. He said, "You have heard that it was said to the people long ago, 'You shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment.' But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment." Not talking about just your brother or sister, but talking about all brothers and sisters. Again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, "Raka," is answerable to the court. Anyone who says, "You fool," will be in danger of the fire of hell. That's pretty bold. That's from Jesus. So this campaign season, there is a lot of anger, and we have a right to be angry in a lot of ways. But I want to ask you, what is the best way to react to that anger, to react to our persecutions? Because there are parts in the Bible that says we should thank God for our trials. The disciples were persecuted a lot, and they rejoiced that they had the opportunity to be persecuted for Christ. And when they were persecuted for Christ, they say, look, I'm living for him. Do we see Christians in today's world react like that anymore? I feel like we don't. We face very minor persecutions in this country, not that we shouldn't be upset, but we react in anger, we react in vitriol, and we say Trump gets it, and he's profane, and he lies. We don't care, we're angry. And I'm thinking, so we're willing to give up our values, even though the Bible says in your anger do not sin. We're willing to give up our values, who we are, because of anger? I don't know. I can't be like that. I think we're called to be holy, separate, above that. And it really worries me in this country that if we can get so angry, especially Christians are mad because they're tired of being called racist, bigoted, homophobic, stuff like that. They're tired of their beliefs being degraded in this country. But if with those little bit of persecutions, the Bible says persecutions are coming. Whether we like it or not, the Bible says persecutions are coming. No matter what we say. But if we're going to react in anger and vitriol to those little bit of persecutions now, like I said, how are we going to react when the real persecutions come? Do you agree or disagree with me? Am I being too tough? And I don't think this is just with the Trump campaign. I don't even really blame Donald Trump himself. He's the personification of a movement in this country. But I have to tell you, I was doing a lot of soul searching because I'm thinking, I don't want to be a part of that problem. I don't want to be the part of the problem that contributes to anger that turns into sin. I want to be a part of, if we're angry, if we're upset at what's going on, I want to be part of real change in the Christian way. And I don't want to sacrifice my soul for things like that. You know, the Bible says, what is it to gain the whole world and lose your soul in the process? But a lot of people are willing to do that. They're willing to sell their souls for what? A political campaign? A president? No. I just can't get that. Do you agree or disagree with me? You can chat with the show if you download the Beyond Reason Radio app, or you can comment on Facebook as well on the live stream. Or, like I said, chat with the show, Beyond Reason Radio app, or beyondreasonradio.com. There's a little button that says chat, and you can do it there as well. I am your host, Michael Yaffee. This is Beyond Reason Radio. Michael Formasano is joining us as well. We're going to get into a lot of other stuff. Speaking of Donald Trump, he's been whining a lot the past weekend because of something that happened in Colorado, which what happened in Colorado was really beyond reason. But he's been whining, and I'm not sure he should be. There's a reason why maybe his whining isn't exactly warranted. We also have some Beyond Reason economics. We're going to have a little lesson for Bernie Sanders on socialism from somebody, an economist, who lives in Sweden. He tells us we should be socialists like Sweden. That's what Bernie Sanders always says. And yet there's a economist in Sweden who I found a video on, and he comments on this a lot, who's like, don't believe the lie that Bernie Sanders is telling you on that. Plus, I try to be positive, but there's a lot of stuff happening in the economy and the housing market that does not look good for the future. And, of course, we'll end the show like we always do with stories so beyond reason they'll leave you flabbergasted. Right now, we're going to take a break, and we'll get back to that. You're listening to Beyond Reason Radio here at beyondreasonradio.com and streaming live on the Beyond Reason Radio app.
You know what's beyond reason? Yaffee is now on YouTube. Go to YouTube now and just search Beyond Reason Radio.
There are so many clothing fads out there that are just beyond reason. But here at Beyond Reason Radio, we want to let you in on a new patriotic fad that will never fade. That fad stands for Freedom All Day. Freedom All Day is the latest apparel brand for the true patriot who is not afraid to show it. Their mission is to give people an opportunity to show patriotism all year and to do it while looking good. Check out their latest stuff, including their newest t-shirts at freedomallDayapparel.com. At freedomallDayapparel.com, you can find all kinds of different cool-looking t-shirts, and they are all made in America. Go to freedomallDayapparel.com and be part of the fad that never fades.
If you heart Beyond Reason Radio, listen to the Beyond Reason Radio podcast on iHeartRadio. Just download the iHeartRadio app and search Beyond Reason Radio.
Welcome back to the show. This is Orlando's Smart Talk Radio. This is Beyond Reason Radio here at BeyondReasonRadio.com and the Beyond Reason Radio app. And, of course, we're also on Facebook today as well. Hi, Facebook world. But if you're watching on Facebook, make sure to go download the Beyond Reason Radio app and do the show there as well. So, I'm having to share. I'm doing a little technology here. I'm sharing the Facebook Live video. It's the first time we've ever done this on Facebook, Mike. And so I'm sharing that.
Yeah, that's right.
As well. By the way, how are you, Mike? We didn't get to talk to you in the first segment.
I know. I apologize for the tardiness today.
That's all right. It's not like, not like you're making millions here. Well, not like I'm making millions
well,
here.
not yet.
Yeah, exactly.
You're doing all right.
You did hear some of my first segment.
Correct.
And I don't know if you saw that video of, you probably didn't see that video where a guy wanted to give out free hugs at Trump rallies and Bernie Sanders rallies. But am I too hard on the Trump rallies and Trump that it's all about anger?
I wouldn't say you're too hard. I like the point of view you're taking from all of it.
No, so you like the idea? Because I did some soul searching over the weekend, and I'm thinking as a Christian, I'm not saying we don't have a right to, you know what I mean? I'm not saying we don't have a right to be upset sometimes, but I just wonder as Christians how we should react to that. Should we react in anger? And it's not just Trump. I just feel like... I think there's very few times where you really should react in anger. It just depends on the situation. Yeah. I mean, I struggle with this too because there's a lot of situations where in politics that make me angry.
Yeah, of course.
But the Bible says...
to take the high road.
Yeah, exactly. But the Bible says, look, repay evil with good. Look, do not let your anger cause you to sin. So I'm thinking as a Christian, I'm like, oh, this totally blows my mind in the whole political world. And I don't want to be a part of the problem in this, with my show either. And we go over a lot of things that are beyond reason. But I don't feel like the show is all about anger.
Oh.
I think we do we have to expose what's going on. We have to talk about important things, but I think we do a decent job of not just being angry and violent and vitriolic all the time. There's a lot of shows out there. There are plenty of shows out there that you can get that, where you can get the anger, you can get the violent rhetoric, you can get all that stuff. There's plenty of shows out there for you if you want to do that. But I don't do that here. We just have a intelligent debate. Anyway,
we try to find the reason reasonably.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm the voice of reason. That's what I really try to be on this show. Anyway, over the weekend, you talk about beyond reason. They were going to have, I guess, a caucus in Colorado for Republicans. And the Republican leadership there, who has control of the delegates in the convention in Colorado, they just decided we're not going to do a caucus. We're just going to give our delegates to Cruz. I didn't know this could happen, but apparently that's part of the rules in Colorado where it can happen. You can just say, yeah, we're not going to do an election in Colorado. We're just going to forget about it. We want Cruz to win, so we're just going to give him the delegates.
Didn't know you could do that.
I guess in Colorado they can. They can either have a caucus, but they said, no, we don't want Trump. We're just going to give it. So a lot of people in Colorado
Colorado's anti-Trump.
I guess so. And a lot of people in Colorado they're not too happy about that. And Trump is not too happy about that. And I could kind of understand why. even though I don't think he had a chance to win anyway.
I don't either.
In a
but
caucus.
I guess it's sort of a fair thing.
Right, yeah, I'm not going to say. But Trump has been using this opportunity to complain about the delegates, how the whole delegate system works, how the whole primary system works. And I have major problems with how the primary system works. It really is kind of beyond reason. And I have a couple solutions of maybe a way we could do it better. But I thought something was very interesting. First, I want to get you play some audio of Trump talking about his problem with the whole delegate system. This is what he said.
I won, as an example, South Carolina. I won it by a landslide, like a massive landslide, and now they're trying to pick off those delegates one by one. That's not the way democracy is supposed to work. And, you know, they offer them trips, they offer them all sorts of things, and you're allowed to do that. I mean, you're allowed to offer trips, and you can buy all these votes. What kind of a system is this? Now, I'm an outsider, and I came into the system, and I'm winning the votes by millions of votes. But the system is rigged. It's crooked.
So Donald Trump, by the way, if you're on the Facebook, you probably can't hear the audio. So what I want you to do, go to BeyondReasonRadio.com, click the live stream. You'll hear all of it, or download the Beyond Reason Radio app. I'm going to have to say that a lot this show because it's the first time we're doing this. But, hey, I want everyone to have access to the show. But Trump is upset that the delegate thing, he says it's working against him. It's corrupt. It's crooked. Cruz is stealing delegates. Blah, blah, blah. We can't have a system that's corrupt like this. It's hurting Trump. And Trump thinks it's having them steal the delegates away from him. They're stealing the election away from Trump, is what he says. But it turns out, when you look at the facts, maybe Trump should not be complaining. I have a report here from NBC News where they talk about maybe Trump actually benefits from the way the delegate system works more than it hurts him. Here's the audio of that, the delegate system, and how it's actually helping Trump, and maybe he shouldn't be complaining so much. This is what he said.
Trump may not have too much to complain about after all. The Republican presidential candidate has been blasting the GOP's rules, saying a, quote, corrupt system is denying him delegates in states he won. But according to a new NBC News analysis, Trump has benefited much more than opponent Ted Cruz under the party's rules for awarding delegates. For every percentage point of total primary votes won, Trump has been granted a 22% bonus. That's compared to Cruz's 14% benefit. The bottom line may not be the perfect delegate system.
So the report's basically saying Trump's whining, complaining about the delegate system, complaining about how the party works and all this stuff. And yet the delegate system so far has actually helped Trump. According to that analysis, it has given Trump a 22% bonus. That means even though he's getting about 37% of the vote, Trump has 45% of the delegates. So he can't complain. He has 47. He has more percent of the delegates than he has a total vote so far, and yet he's whining that they're stealing the election from him. That doesn't make sense. It gives Trump a 22% advantage above his raw supportive voters, while Cruz only benefits about 14% above his raw support. Now, that being said, I don't know if I like it this way. I think maybe you should get the delegates based on the percentage of votes you get. But the fact is we have states that do it differently in each state. It's states' rights. It's the system that's put in place. It's so each state can choose differently based on their state situations. But I just thought it was interesting that this has all started because Trump has been complaining about they think he's stealing from the election from him, and he's actually benefiting it from the system. Now, one of the main reasons they have this system, delegate system, in place is so no one can win outright without getting a majority of the vote. So Trump is getting most of the votes, but he's still under 50%. He's getting about 37%. And the delegate system is trying to prevent someone from just outright getting the nomination when, most 75% of the party, this time it's not 75%, it's like 60% of the party doesn't want that guy. I mean, if Trump got more than 50% of the vote in all these states, he would have the majority delegates and he would be on the first ballot in the convention and he would win. But they put the system in place so someone who gets like 30% of the vote, when there's a lot of candidates, doesn't just win outright. Also, we have to understand the party system's a private organization and they can do what they want. I'm not saying it's the best system, but that's the way it is. Now, my biggest problem with the primary system, the way it is, isn't so much the whole delegate thing. I just don't like that states vote at vastly different times. Because Iowa, whose population's very tiny, who really doesn't represent the country as a whole, has so much say in the election of a Republican. Same with New Hampshire, and then you have early states. This year is a little different, but even this year, a lot of candidates had to drop out because of Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina before the vast majority of the states even vote. So this would be my solution. I don't know. You can agree or disagree with me out there. I kind of wish there was a way that we did 2 primary elections if possible, that we had just one election like we do the general, and that was it. Later on, before the convention, we have one election across the country for the primary, and then if there's a lot of candidates, the top 3 who win that election, then there's a runoff election after that where those top 3, the majority of those top 3, whoever gets the majority would win the nomination. So instead of having this convoluted state system where we go state by state and it takes forever, maybe have one election first with all the candidates. It's nationwide. And then the top 3 who win that election, then you have a second election, runoff election, where whoever wins that one wins the nomination. Seems a lot simpler to me. This is never going to happen. There's reasons why the party bosses put the system in place the way it is. But that's something I would kind of rather see. There is talk about reforming it into more of a regional system where you have different regions vote. Instead of states, you have like the southeastern region vote at once and then the northeastern region vote at once. That way it would be easier for them to campaign. Something's got to change because it is a very screwed up system. But I just thought it was funny that Trump is complaining about this, thinking they're stealing the election from him, and then you look at the facts, the delegate system's actually helping him. But, it doesn't matter. You can say that all you want. Trump's not going to change his mind and talk about how, never mind, you're right, it's actually helping me. I'll shut up now. We'll keep the system in place. No, he's going to keep talking about how corrupt it is because he knows if he doesn't get the 1247 by the convention, there's a good chance he'll lose at the convention. And he wants to create a lot of problems there. But I don't know. Do you have a better system maybe to reform the whole party nomination process? I think there's got to be a better way. So I have my system where we do 2 elections nationwide. First election, all the candidates. Second election, top 3 candidates. And whoever wins that second one then wins it. And then we have a nomination. Seems simpler to me. You can chat with the show at Beyond Reason Radio. Later on in the show, Mike, we have your favorite segment.
Yes, we do.
Stories so beyond reason that will leave you flabbergasted. Now, with this one, the last show, if you go to the podcast, everybody.
Oh, gosh.
I ended with a story that definitely left Mike flabbergasted.
I'm still flabbergasted.
And it was really disgusting.
Yeah. Listen to it, with your own discretion.
Yeah, and then in the previous show, the last segment of the show, you have to go and listen to it because it's, beyond reason. But so today I have a promise for you, Mike, that it's not disgusting like that.
It's not?
It's not that crazy, but it's still beyond reason. It's actually, both of them have to do with restaurants. And they're actually more funny than... Don't worry. I promise you, Mike's worried. Mike's worried. I promise you it's not like completely disgusting like the last one was.
All right. I'm going to take your word for it.
You don't trust me. I'm telling you.
Look, I just...
No,
I know what last
I
week
scarred
said to
him.
me.
I scarred
and if you're going to talk about
week.
restaurants, I'm nervous. It's a place I go to.
Oh, well, it's not like they spit on the food or anything. It's not like that.
Oh, spit I can
Well, it's a
handle.
little bit lighter today. But in the next segment, we have Beyond Reason Economics, where I give Bernie Sanders a little bit of a lesson on, well, I don't give it. Actually, someone in Sweden gives Bernie Sanders a lesson on socialism. So we're going to play the audio from him because he knows Sweden's economy. Bernie Sanders says socialism in Sweden so great. This guy has a little bit different of opinion, and there's some things going on in the economy that have me worried. Sorry, I have to give you the truth on it. You're listening to Beyond Reason Radio here at BeyondReasonRadio.com, streaming live on the Beyond Reason Radio app as well. We'll be right back.
You want to listen to Beyond Reason Radio live on your smartphone? Download the Beyond Reason Radio app now. Available in the Google Play or Apple App Stores.
There are so many clothing fads out there that are just beyond reason. But here at Beyond Reason Radio, we want to let you in on a new patriotic fad that will never fade. That fad stands for Freedom All Day. Freedom All Day is the latest apparel brand for the true patriot who is not afraid to show it. Their mission is to give people an opportunity to show patriotism all year and to do it while looking good. Check out their latest stuff, including their newest t-shirts at freedomallDayapparel.com. At freedomallDayapparel.com, you can find all kinds of different cool-looking t-shirts, and they are all made in America. Go to freedomallDayapparel.com and be part of the fad that never fades.
Listen to the latest episodes of Beyond Reason. Download the podcast at Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the voice of reason in a world that is beyond reason. You are listening to Beyond Reason Radio here at BeyondReasonRadio.com and streaming live in the Beyond Reason Radio app, which you can download the Google Play or Apple App Store, or on Facebook as well. We have some viewers on Facebook. Hello, everybody. We do the show every Monday and Friday live at 8 p.m. at BeyondReasonRadio.com, or catch the podcast on any podcast outlet anytime you want. So there you go. Got a comment from my buddy Mike on Facebook who just said, Yaffee! Exclamation point. So that's good. I like the in-depth comments. But Mike, I'm glad you're joining us as well. He listens to the podcast all the time. And so if it's the guy I think it is, well, you'll have to tell me how he gets the show. Yeah, if you comment, tell me how you listen to the show. You listen to iHeartRadio, iTunes, Podbean, SoundCloud. Let me know how you listen, or on the app or the website. So you can comment on there as well. So I decided Bernie Sanders. We all know he wants to create the socialist utopia. Yay, big government. I mean, he wants what? $19.2 trillion of new taxes over 10 years. He doesn't want Obamacare. He wants straight socialized medicine. He wants socialized university systems. This is not new. This is what's happening. And a lot of people think this is great. And the reason they think it's so great is they point to countries like Denmark, countries like Sweden, and they say, look how socialism made that country so great, right? Well, recently the Prime Minister of Denmark said, Bernie Sanders, please stop calling us socialists. We have gone away from socialism. But I found an interesting cut here. It's on YouTube. You can go find it. From Jonah Norberg. He is an economist in Sweden. Now, he directly talks about what Bernie Sanders has been saying about socialism in Sweden. This is a guy who lives in Sweden. This is a guy who lived through the socialist expansion in Sweden after World War II. This is a guy who knows what it's like to see socialism grow in a rich and free country. And he has some words for Bernie Sanders that you might find interesting. Kind of pops the bubble. Every now and then I have to pop the bubble of the left. I have to pop the bubble of the socialists, because their utopia bubble is just a bubble, and it's easy to pop because it's not real. It's illusion. But this guy does it a lot better than I could because he's from Sweden. This is the audio. This is what he says about socialism in Sweden.
I live in one of the best countries on the planet, Sweden. We tax and we spend, and we have a huge government. And We're one of the world's richest countries. You should be more like us. Dead wrong. Sweden got rich first, with free trade and an open economy before we had the big government. In 1950, Sweden was already one of the world's richest countries, and back then, taxes were lower in Sweden than in the United States. Only then did we start expanding the government dramatically. And you know what happened then? We started losing. From having been the fourth richest country in the world in 1970, 25 years later, we were only the 14th richest. And no new jobs had been created in the private sector. It all ended in a terrible crisis. Since then, Sweden has become successful again, but only after a new reform period, with more deregulation and free trade than in other countries, with lower taxes, school vouchers, and partial privatization of the pension system. Sure, Sweden is great. I love it here. But be careful so that you imitate the stuff that brought us wealth, and not the stuff that almost brought us ruin.
I love that. Couldn't have said it better myself. An economist from Sweden. Because Bernie Sanders says we need to be more like Sweden and Denmark, and the left says we need to be more like these European socialist countries. And this guy from Sweden, an economist, says, well, see, what happened is we were actually rich first because we were a free economy with low taxes, less regulation. And then after World War II, we started to expand government more and more and more, and eventually it led to a crisis. And that it was only after reforms, privatization of pensions, school vouchers, lower taxes, deregulation, that Sweden all of a sudden became a lot richer. He said after, in the years after World War II, because before World War II, they were fourth richest country in the world. They eventually dropped to 14th richest. And he says it's because of big government. And this isn't me saying this. This is the socialist. This is the guy from Sweden who lived in socialist Sweden saying that. By the way, if you're watching on Facebook, I understand you can't hear the audio on Facebook. That's why I'm constantly telling people download the Beyond Reason Radio app so you can hit the audio or get the podcast later. But
yeah, we'll work on that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Mike's the tech guy. We're just starting this out. We're just starting this out, but I had to try it because it's kind of a cool feature, and we like new technology here.
Oh, absolutely.
By the way, speaking of Democrats and their socialist utopia, I have a little bit of Beyond Reason economics. And I know last week, Mike, I went over some stuff that kind of depressed you a little bit, I think. The economy.
Yeah.
No, I have to be honest.
Wasn't the highlight of the
day.
It
wasn't. Unfortunately, Mike, I have some more bad news. So if you want to live in your bubble, you'll have to mute your ears. Yeah, I mean, you have those sound-canceling headphones, so you can turn those on if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, but the show's called Beyond Reason.
How am I going to make you sound good, though, if I can't hear?
That's a good point. So here is the headline from the New York Post.
Taking them to school?
Well, this is the headline from the New York Post, and this is something I've been saying for a while. It really worries me. Team Obama is setting us up for another housing market collapse. Tell me, Mike, how'd that last housing market collapse go?
Yeah, it went really, really great, Mike. It was the best housing market crash we've ever had.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
It was the best housing market crash you ever had. That's true. The Obama administration, according to the New York Post, is doing the best to give the nation another mortgage meltdown. It says, wasn't the last one bad enough? Credit scores of approved borrowers, for example, have been trending down, even as their debt levels have grown. The Federal Housing Administration and government-sponsored independent lenders, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who they were barely mentioned in that movie, The Big Short, by the way, which I loved that movie. But the fact that you don't really mention Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac in a big part of causing the housing crisis shows me a little bit of a bias. But that just says that. They're government-sponsored. They say independent, but they play by different rules because they're government-sponsored. Just as the feds did starting under President Bill Clinton in pursuit of some affordable housing goals, the Federal Housing Administration and government-sponsored independent lenders have been demanding lower credit scores. demanding lower credit scores. Some borrowers need only put 3% down to get a Fannie Mae loan, even if the down payment is a gift. I feel like we've seen this before. I don't know.
Where could that be?
Fannie has also started up a new subprime lending program. We're like, because the last one went so well, we're going to do it again. Yay. When the economy and housing prices turn south again, a lot of these loans will go bad, as they did last time, of course. Especially if gas prices ever go up again, they're going to go bad again. Oh, yeah, some good news here, though, Mike. You ready? You're not ready.
Because is it good news?
It says that probably won't cause another global financial crisis because the banks largely learned their lesson on that front back in 2008. So he's saying it won't be as bad as last time. We'll see. Took a while to get to last time.
Does it have to be another time?
By the way, anytime you say there's good news, what do you have to say after that?
But
there's bad news. The taxpayers will likely wind up on the hook. Directly or indirectly, Uncle Sam has been responsible for insuring at least 80% of new mortgages since 2008. So there you go. I have an idea. This is why I can never be elected to office. Why don't we get rid of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac? Why don't we actually get rid of them, break them up into pieces, sell them off to the private sector, and maybe let people who know about housing deal with housing? It's crazy thought. Why, instead of having government-sponsored entities, why don't we just sell them, break them off to the private sector, not worry about the money, and let them deal with, mortgages, let the banks deal with mortgages, instead of having government pressure these institutions to give out very bad loans, which got us in the mess in the first place? Just a little beyond reason. And by the way, I had some more stuff maybe I'll get to next week on Obamacare. If you follow me on Twitter, at Beyond Reason R, the on reason, the letter R, follow me on Twitter. I posted some stories on Obamacare because, I can almost get stuff every day about how Obamacare is failing. The CBO came out and they said, we thought it was going to cost this much, but actually it's costing us more. So that's good. And then also many of the Obamacare exchanges, the co-ops in the exchanges, they're failing. More and more failing. So that's good. What'll be on reason? Okay. I've depressed Mike enough. I've depressed him enough over here with Beyond Reason Economics. We have your favorite segment coming up next, Mike. And I made you a promise.
You did.
That it's not disgusting today.
I hope not.
That it's not as bad as it was the last show.
You'll lose my trust.
Go to the last show and listen if you didn't get listen. You were listening
Viewer
to...
discretion advised.
You mean listener discretion?
Listener discretion advised.
We weren't on Facebook last week. Facebook's a new thing this week.
Discretion period advised.
You're listening to Beyond Reason Radio here, beyondreasonradio.com and the Beyond Reason Radio app.
If you miss any of the show, you can download the Beyond Reason podcast on iTunes.
There are so many clothing fads out there that are just beyond reason. But here at Beyond Reason Radio, we want to let you in on a new patriotic fad that will never fade. That fad stands for Freedom All Day. Freedom All Day is the latest apparel brand for the true patriot who is not afraid to show it. Their mission is to give people an opportunity to show patriotism all year and to do it while looking good. Check out their latest stuff, including their newest t-shirts at freedomallDayapparel.com. At freedomallDayapparel.com, you can find all kinds of different cool-looking t-shirts, and they are all made in America. Go to freedomallDayapparel.com and be part of the fad that never fades.
If you like Beyond Reason Radio, well, make sure to show it by liking the Facebook page at facebook.com/Beyond Reason Radio.
And we are back. I am the conscience in your ear telling you the difference between right and wrong. We are the anti-establishment of the political radio world, because that's popular. That's what people say now. They say they're outsiders, anti-establishment, and everyone loves them for some reason. So I'm just going to say that's what I am. I am in a lot of ways. But I am the voice of reason in a world that is beyond reason. I'm your host, Michael Yaffee, joined by executive producer, Mr. Michael Formisano. You can catch the show live every Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. the Beyond Reason Radio app or beyondreasonradio.com. And listen to the podcast anywhere, anytime. You can chat with the show on the app as well, live, or just follow me on Twitter at Beyond Reason and the letter R. Okay, Mike. Stories. Well, you have to introduce this segment, Mike.
And now, on Beyond Reason Radio, stories that leave you flabbergasted.
Good job. It's a little bit of work.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have to say stories so beyond reason.
Yeah, is that what it was? I knew I was missing something.
The show's called Beyond Reason. We have to, push that a lot.
That's right. Beyond Reason.
So stories beyond reason.
Beyond Reason.
They'll leave you flabbergasted.
Beyond
Okay. These are actually fun stories today. I told you, Mike. And actually, I don't know what to do with this one because I think this guy, they're looking for him. He should be arrested.
Okay.
But I kind of think I kind of like his style.
Really?
Yeah. It looks like in Washington, D.C., there was a real Hamburglar. You know McDonald's, the Hamburglar?
Stop.
You know the Hamburglar?
Yes, I remember the Hamburglar.
Yeah, I'm sure all you remember out there, the Hamburglar. Well, there was a guy.
You're kidding me.
Who broke in. He didn't dress in a costume or anything.
That'd be great.
That would have been that if he would have dressed in the costume for this. That would have been something.
That'd be so beyond.
No,
reason.
he broke into Washington D.C. Five Guys, and he made himself a cheeseburger, and that's pretty much it.
Did he save himself $6.54?
Five Guys is more expensive than that now.
Now they are.
They've gotten a little pricey.
Nobody stopped him?
No, they were closed.
Oh, they were closed.
He went in. He broke into the Five Guys restaurant in D.C. not to steal money, but to grab a bite to eat.
Must have been munching.
He went inside, treated himself to a fountain beverage, and then turned on the grill and made himself a burger.
Was he sleepwalking?
No, he's wide awake. There's video of the whole thing.
He's just hungry.
Online. He was just hungry. He just went in and made himself a burger.
Takes guts.
I know.
I applaud you.
So he's a real life Hamburglar. I want this guy. I don't know. I don't think they found him yet. They're still looking for him. They posted the video online and everything. That's how I guess this went viral. But Five Guys is pretty good.
I just went there the other night after the show.
We have a comment from Brett who has said, did he at least put bacon on it?
Is there an upcharge for
bacon?
That
is a very good Well, he didn't get charged. He stole it.
Well, I'm
he broke
saying
in.
that adds to having style. If he was even like,
I'm kind of looking at the video. I don't know if he put bacon on it. I'm going to have to check out the video. It doesn't say, but oops.
A little ad there?
Yeah, a little ad. He went into Five Guys.
Was it an ad for Five Guys?
No, it wasn't.
That'd be great.
He went into Five Guys and made himself a burger. I want him next time. Person out there, if you're listening, who did this, next time, at least wear the Hamburglar costume and then make yourself a burger. If I were Five Guys, I would use this as a commercial, I think. Our burgers are so good that even if you would break in after hours to make a burger. Oh, we're closed, but I need a Five Guys burger. So go in and make it.
That's right. You never heard anyone
All
breaking
right.
into Burger King.
Second story that is beyond reason. For those listening on the app, I have the audio report here. Something interesting happened at a Starbucks.
Now you got me worried.
It's not, I told you, it's not disgusting. Mike doesn't trust me.
I hope not.
He does. It's not disgusting. In fact, I think this guy made a kind of a big deal out of nothing. But here's the story.
Some of us need that pick-me-up, especially in the morning hours. Many people head to Starbucks for their dash of caffeine. However, one person received an unexpected comment on their label. Some order the bold roast. Others want a non-fat, no-foam, extra whipped latte. One customer at the Palencia Starbucks wanted a grande white mocha, but he got more than he bargained for.
That first word just automatically brought the picture of both sisters in my head.
His cup read, "Diabetes, here I come." And for this customer, it hits close to home. When you saw diabetes, what memories did that trigger?
I guess we're not supposed to laugh.
Just the struggles they went through, some of the doctor's appointments.
His sister?
He tells me his 2 sisters suffer from type 1 diabetes. I took my
he was
questions
the
to
guy
the
who
store
got the
manager,
latte.
Kent Miller, and I explained and showed him pictures of the cup. Is this something that Starbucks condones?
No,
their
this is
employees?
something we definitely don't condone.
A 16-ounce white mocha is known for having 470 calories. Miller tells me the only thing that should be
470
written on
calories
the
is a lot.
label
Yeah, it is.
is the drink type and the name of the customer. This customer wrote a note on the same cup and left a message for the baristas and hopes these employees won't judge other people.
Seeing it and knowing the struggle my sisters went through since 3rd, 4th grade, it definitely just, like I said, struck a nerve.
That customer tells me he doesn't need an apology. He just wants reassurance that this won't happen again in the future to other customers.
I put it on him. I think he's at fault.
Why?
Because if he's got a history of diabetes in his family, maybe he shouldn't be drinking a white mocha at Starbucks.
That's an interesting point. I didn't think about that. So, yeah, the guy goes into Starbucks.
Because I have plenty of people in my family with diabetes, and
You still go to Starbucks.
well, they're funny about it too. So
Well, that's the thing. The guy goes into Starbucks, and they put on the label, diabetes, here we come, because he got this high sugar thing at Starbucks. And he gets so offended because they say, oh, he's like, oh, my family member says diabetes, and it struck home, and it made me feel bad, and I'm offended because you're making light of a
I
disease.
guarantee you his sisters wouldn't be drinking at Starbucks then. And if
Well-
they did, they're going to bring a lot of insulin.
Well, yeah, but I mean, can we just lighten up a little bit?
We need to lighten up a little
I mean,
bit.
come on. It was
You need
just
to
a
lighten up
joke.
like
It was just a joke that you're getting a high sugar drink and
You
it
need to
could cause
lighten up like a
diabetes.
vanilla mocha frap.
But the guy got so offended by it. That's what I'm more flabbergasted at that point than I am at anything else. Wow, the show's already over?
Show's already over.
All right, I'll end with the
Time goes
Bible
by when
verse.
you're having fun.
I'll end with the Bible verse I always end with. Philippians chapter 4. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And the God of peace will be with you. That's it. We're done. Beyond
Yep.
Reason Radio will be back on Friday.
Catch you then.